Good evening, night shifters. This is Third Shift HFY. Settle in and let tonight's stars tell their story.
They called them heroes, again and again. Chen the survivor, Chen the warrior, Chen the savior of worlds. But I have watched long enough. The infection of stories must end. I will step into their moments of triumph, peel away their victories, and silence the name that has stolen humanity's face. This is not cruelty. This is cleansing. Welcome to the Erasure. As the multiverse ripples before me, endless threads of story weaving and unweaving in a silent loom, and there, glowing like a fever through the tapestry, were the same shapes, the same faces, the same name. Chen. Prisoners whispering it in the shadows of their camps. Generals shouting it across burning trenches. Scholars writing it into equations that should never have been theirs to solve. Again and again and again. I walked between the strands, each thread a human tale, and everywhere I turned, Chen. A swarm of sameless wearing humanity's mask. Their victories predictable, their legends repeated until they soured into parody. Do you see it now? The infection in their myths. One name choking the breath of countless stories. Humanity deserves more than a single echo. I placed my hand on the threads, feeling their warmth, their struggle. And then I whispered, "This ends tonight." The air was thick with rust and hunger. Alien prisoners huddled in the cold shadows of a labor camp, their eyes dimmed by years of chains. And yet, from the center of their misery, one voice rose to kindle a spark.
They think we are broken. They think the weight of their boots and their whips will crush us forever. But hear me well. There is no chain strong enough to hold a will that refuses to bow.
The crowd stirred, murmurs building into a tremor, faces lifted, shoulders straightened. For the first time in cycles, hope dared to breathe.
We are more than captives. We are more than victims. And if one dares to stand, then all may stand. I will.
I stepped into the thread. The sound froze, his lips shaping words that would never come. Not this time. The camp fell silent. The murmurs died in every throat. Their spark guttered as if swallowed by the void. Daniel Chen's form dissolved, leaving nothing but empty space where defiance had stood. Chains rattled again. Shoulders slumped. The prisoners' heads bowed. The tremor of hope erased like chalk washed clean. Do you see? Their voices never belonged to Daniel Chen. Humanity deserves its chorus, not a single, endless echo. A hangar bay hummed with alien machinery, every wall lined with blinking consoles and tangled coils of unfamiliar tech. In the chaos of occupation, one human knelt in the shadows, eyes gleaming with feverish determination.
If I can reroute the coolant here, overload the relays, their entire command grid will collapse. One spark, one strike, and humanity lives to fight another day.
His fingers danced across the wires, pulling and twisting with desperate precision. Sparks spat at his face, lighting the sweat on his brow. The aliens above had no idea their war would end in the guts of their own machine. How clever. Always the tinkerer, always the savior with a circuit and a plan. I leaned closer, watching the final wire in his grasp. For a moment, he hesitated, whispering victory under his breath. This is it. This is the end of them. I reached down and replaced the wire with another, just a tiny shift, a single thread redirected. The machine screamed. A cascade of lights flared across the bay, then darkness, punctuated by a violent crack as the reactor failed in the wrong direction. Oh dear, so close, but no story should end the same way twice, don't you think? The hangar bay doors blew inward, alien troops storming through the smoke. They found no triumphant human, no clever Thomas Chen, only a ruin of his ambitions soldering in silence. One less echo in the chorus. This is getting fun. I should have done this a long time ago. No time like the present, The threads dimmed around me, their glow reduced to ash. No soldiers, no rebels, no tinkering saviors. Only silence where a name had been. I turned, not to the stories, but to you. Strange, isn't it? So many faces, so many stories, and yet the same mask. Chen in the camps, Chen in the trenches, Chen in the machines, as if humanity were incapable of wearing any other face. I paced along the fabric of the multiverse, the stories flickering faintly beneath my steps like embers on a dying fire. Do you think me cruel, to silence their victories, to strip away their triumphs? No. Cruelty lies in repetition. Cruelty lies in telling humanity it can only be one name, again and again, until the word becomes a cage. I paused, looking back into the dark where Chen once stood. The multiverse deserves better stories, and I will make certain it gets them. Smoke rolled like thunder across the battlefield. Alien artillery carved craters into the earth, and human lines faltered under the stall. Amid the chaos, one figure rose from the trench, rifle in hand, face streaked with dirt and firelight.
Hold the line! We stand here, or we fall everywhere!
The soldiers around him lifted their heads. Broken, bloodied, but not yet beaten, they rallied to his voice. His charge through the mud lit a spark that no bombardment could crush.
With me! With humanity!
The multiverse trembled with the moment. This was the heartbeat of every HFY tale. The impossible stand, the turning of the tide. I stepped into the storm, untouched by shrapnel, my shadow cast long across the trench. Marcus Chen, a soldier's courage, a familiar song, too familiar. As he surged forward, bayonet raised, I touched his shoulder. His form flickered once, then vanished. The soldiers around him froze, their spark extinguished mid-breath. The line collapsed, trampled under alien fire. Mud swallowed voices that had begun to rise. Without Chen, there is no rally. Without rally, there is no legend. Humanity must learn to march with other names. The forest was silent, save for the crackle of a lonely fire. Shadows stretched long across broken trees and twisted metal, wreckage of a war that had left no victors. A single figure sat beside the flames. Thin, scarred, clothes torn from months of wandering, yet her posture remained upright, stubbornly unbowed. She warmed trembling hands against the fire, eyes shining with the stubborn light of survival.
They thought the wilds would finish me. They thought silence would break me. But I'm still here, and if I can endure, then humanity endures with me.
She pulled a scrap of ration from her pack, biting it slowly, savoring it as though it were a feast. Around her, the forest whispered, as if listening. Lian Chen, the survivor, the ember in the ash, always alone, always enduring, a story that burns again and again. I knelt by the fire, unseen. The warmth licked against her face, reflecting in her eyes. For a moment, it almost seemed cruel to touch the flame. And yet, the fire guttered. The air grew cold. The space beside the logs was suddenly empty. Her bedroll collapsed upon itself. The echo of her breath stolen away. The forest remained. The wreckage remained. Only the ember was gone. Even embers must die, if the fire is to be born anew. The threads flickered dimly around me now, not blazing stories, but pale ghosts. Where once Chen had stood, rebel, tinkerer, soldier, survivor, there was only silence, only empty spaces that no one would remember. I walked among them, each step echoing against the hollows left behind. Perhaps you think me cruel, to step into their moments, to snatch them away at the height of triumph. I brushed my hand against the vacant glow of what had been a battlefield, watched the memory collapse into nothing. But repetition is cruelty of another kind. To trap humanity in a single name, a single echo, until it forgets the chorus it was meant to sing. I paused in the silence, the void heavy around me. I am not erasing humanity. I am freeing it. The council chamber was alive with tension. Two alien delegations faced each other across a long table, their histories written in scars and blood. Blades and banners had been set aside, but distrust clung to the air like smoke. At the center stood a lone human, hands open, voice calm.
Enough lifetimes have been lost to war. I ask you, let this be the first day of something greater. Stand with us, and let us build a future together.
The aliens shifted, eyes narrowing, claws twitching against their hilts. Yet his voice carried, steady, unwavering.
One choice, one promise, and our children will never bleed as we bleed.
Their leaders hesitated, then began to extend their hands across the table, the fragile miracle of unity, born in a moment of trust. I appeared between them, my shadow falling over their hands. Erasure of Chen, the diplomat, the bridge between worlds. But bridges built on the same name crumble beneath his weight. Their hands touched mine instead. The memory of Chen flickered, then vanished, erased from their minds as though he had never spoken. The alien leaders recoiled, blinking in confusion. Their claws flexed, their banners rose. Without the human's voice, distrust roared back into the chamber like fire through dry grass. Some futures are better forgotten. The void stretched wide before me, endless strands of story shimmering in the dark. Each thread glowed faintly, a heartbeat waiting to be told. And across them all, like a disease etched into the marrow of the multiverse, one name pulsed again and again. Chen. Thousands of them, soldiers, rebels, wanderers, saviors, some just about to rise, others mid-victory, all waiting for their turn to be remembered. I stepped into the center of that cosmic map, and the light of 1,000 Chens flared around me like a galaxy of false stars. So many, far more than I imagined. I reached out, brushing my hand across the nearest thread. It flickered, sputtered, then dimmed into silence. Another Chen gone. Damn, this will take longer than I thought, but it needs to be done. The map quivered, its lights trembling in anticipation of the hunt yet to come. And then, one by one, they began to dim. The multiverse held its breath.